What sort of people come to your meetings and what do they go away with?
A huge cross-section of people, from bone surgeons to road sweepers.
Fantastic.
It's amazing. No, it is
Yeah.
beautiful, because it is really just anybody. A lot of people, quite a lot of people come and never come again, and I completely understand that. Some people come and go away for 3 or 4 years, and somehow some sort of seed has taken place, and they come back. Quite a lot of people at the moment are coming back after not coming for 3 or 4 years.
Wow.
A lot of people come and stay, and it goes on, and they're sort of fascinated by it. In a way, they're fascinated by the paradox of it, and the fact that it's not get-atable. And they're also fascinated, and it's a very powerful thing, that there's no agenda in the meeting. There's nobody trying to sell them anything. There's nobody trying to get them to believe anything. There's something fascinating about that, and different, and rare. And then there's another lot of people that come, and the whole thing just collapses, and it's all over. But usually over a period of what we think of as time. But I do know of 3 cases where people have come to meetings and it's been all over in the meeting.
Yeah, fantastic.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Somewhere there's already a readiness there. And the majority of people for whom this seems to happen, although it doesn't happen to the person, come over a period of time, go through a sort of awakening thing like I did.
So you have people who have similar or not dissimilar experiences to your own in the past.
It's just an experience, but it's
I'm not quite sure which word to use, but what would you say?
That's something that's personal.
Yeah.
It's the only thing I can call it is liberation from the illusion of being imprisoned in separation.
Okay.
And that's happening hugely. Hugely. It's amazing to us. It's wonderful.
Fantastic, yeah. You talk about, I don't remember now where I read it. Either it's on your website, maybe one of your essays, or possibly one of your books. You talk about, which I found fascinating, enabling people to see, what was the expression, enabling people to see a resonance, I think you said.
Well, it's not really. It doesn't enable anyone. As I said,
that was what I was curious about.
This is not an enabling thing for someone.
Okay.
Because the seeker, the individual, can never resonate with this. The nature of individuality is that it only lives in story. Individuality is story. If there's no story, there's no individual. It's an artificial, inconstant state. So it can't hear that there's nothing. It can't hear this message. It can't resonate with this. But somewhere there's a resonance. It's totally impersonal resonance.
So does this mean there's no shift, whether personally or holistically? There's no holistic shift when people have this?
No shift at all.
Okay.
No.
Right, okay.
This is one of these, it's awful, this really, I can't really describe it.
No,
it's one of these things that's, in a nutshell, you could say that when suddenly the individual is no more, let's say that, dies, then there's a recognition, nobody recognises, you don't need a person for there to be recognition, there's a recognition that it's the end of something that was never actually happening.
Or that it's a realisation that what has been happening has been a complete illusion. Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
So, you know, in that sense, this has nothing to do with something, with an individual coming and being enabled for something to happen to the individual. It absolutely isn't about that.
So there's no question of process. There's no question of A to B.
No.
Because I know you talk about other.
No, there's no
sort of spiritual teachers. Well, I'm not calling you a spiritual teacher because I know that's not what you are, but you know, people who have this element, if you like, of teaching how to get from A to B. One would assume.
Yeah, they are teachers of becoming, as far as I'm concerned. That's dualistic teaching, that there is a person who can go along the path and find something. Well, there's a person here, one, that can move along the path and find something else, two, which is in alignment. That's dualism.
So what is, just to clarify for people watching, what is your unique, I don't know, I'm struggling for words here, but what is your and I would say unique selling proposition if it was a business thing, but there's no selling. What is your uniqueness, if you like, in what you bring?
Okay, so first of all, it's not my uniqueness, and I didn't bring anything.
Okay.
This is nothing to do with Tony Parsons at all.
Okay.
But the rarity of it is that it is totally and utterly impersonal. It offers nothing to the individual at all. Right. There's nothing for sale for the individual seeker in that sense. Yeah. And so it's a totally impersonal message. It has, and in a nutshell, that's what it is. It's simply a description that's given to no one.
When I first read your books and your message, and because something that I've, without really seeking it, something that I've been drawn to is quantum physics. And you know, this whole thing around everything is energy, everything is vibration. And in fact, even the quantum physicists are saying now, look, you know, what we see around us in terms of objectivity, this flower is not real. I mean, it's not, you know, it's simply, if you like, an interpretation of our five senses. We come in, well, you tell me what you think, but that's one explanation as I understand it. So there's an element of, you know, it's because of our, if you like, maybe conditioning, or because of our makeup as humans, you know, we come in with this mind and this body and these eyes and ears and you know, feelings and so on. We see everything in terms of a third dimensional reality, an objective reality, whereas in fact in wholly subject reality there's nothing but, as you would say, I think, energy, right?
Absolutely. Quantum physicists have now discovered and are establishing one amazing thing, and that is that these flowers come out of nothing. They are actually nothing, appearing as flowers. Now, in what I call the natural reality, that's all there is, just that. For the individual can't see the flowers as they really are, because the individual sees them as separate objects. So the individual seeker lives in continuous dissatisfaction without necessarily recognising it. The freedom is that when that individual energy that sees everything as separate suddenly collapses, there is everything and nothing. It is absolutely apparent that everything is out of nothing. The other interesting thing about science these days, that's part of what's coming to the same conclusion as this message. The other interesting thing is that neuroscientists have now absolutely established. You don't hear much about it.
You don't read it on the
there are lots of books around now in the last 5 years, started in Frankfurt. They've now absolutely established that there is no such thing as a separate individual with free will and choice. There simply isn't.
I can understand the no such thing as a separate individual in terms of the everything is energy and everything is vibration. But where does free will and choice come from anyway?
It's an idea.
It comes simply a belief.
Of course it is, within the story of the individual. The individual grows up and believes it has free will and choice. It's now been established that actually everything that happens in this world happens up there and has nothing to do with this artificial construct that makes. The brain makes an artificial construct at a very early age to protect it from what it assumes is a separate world. So it's based on you, the individual, are based on an assumption that's false.
And everything is an interpretation.
And actually, everything is just energy happening, and there's no such thing as a separate me that can choose to do anything. That's why, as far as I'm concerned, teachings of becoming are based on a misconception. They're based on the misconception that you, for instance, can now go and choose to meditate in order to get somewhere. It's dualism. Pure dualism.
In fact, any teaching, isn't that true? Any teaching presupposes separation, presupposes individuality.
And free will and choice.
Right, absolutely. And in fact, any belief presupposes individuality. Absolutely. But let me ask you, you talk a lot about freedom and liberation and enlightenment. Don't they presuppose individuality?
Of course they do, and they talk in a non-dual way. A lot of apparently non-dual teachers and Advaita teachers speak in a non-dual way. All this is wholeness. And then they tell you how to get
How to get there.
That's where it collapses.
Yeah.
They don't even, some of them don't even tell you how to get there. They try to suggest by changing your belief systems or making wonderful, beautiful, idealistic proposals that somewhere or other you'll shift your idea about who you are and what you are. But it's still basically a personal message. It's still saying to someone, I will teach you what you are or your true nature, and then you will find that you're in wholeness. There's no possibility of that.